welcome back to Coffee Talk Tuesday. My name is Chalese Stevens, and I'm here with my substitute and way better co-host, Chris Gillam. He's paying me to say that.
I'm much prettier.
he is much prettier. Yeah. And our amazing guest, Yuri Williams. Thank you again, Yuri, for being here. Anytime. So, Yuri, we were talking about all the fun adventures that you've been able to go on as superheroes. And we touched a little bit about why you were doing what you're doing. But I really want to get into your story and how you started doing that. What was like your first experiences, and then how you decided to become a nonprofit?
Right after my mom passed away, that Christmas that it was just coming up after she passed, I went and withdrew, I think, $3,000. I went and I got the money in different increments, and I put it in an envelope, and I was just driving around to each homeless person that I saw on the street. And, I remember it was one guy, he must have got the $100 bill or something, because I just saw him yelling in the middle of the street, waving at me like, thank you, or whatever. And then, I was starting to do a lot of kind acts such as that. And, I would pay for I would send people money, and, I know they were hurting to pay their light bill and stuff. And it was just little different kind acts that, that I started doing. And I'm like, dang, I like this, and it just got an adrenaline rush. Like, I got to keep doing this and keep doing this. And it got to the point where, I was using my money like every 2 weeks when I got paid. And then I'm looking at my check and I'm like, damn, wait a minute. I gotta slow down here, because I'm going too crazy, I'm serious. Like, I was, I had to check the account. I'm like, wait a minute, did I really spend that much? And then that's when I said, I still am to this day using some of my own money to keep the nonprofit going. But we created this nonprofit to, see if I could possibly get grants or, people make donations, which they have been. And, and I tell people all the time, when you start a nonprofit, you think that people are going to be showering you with money to see, that you want to help. And it's not like that, and it took me a while to realize that, I got to keep doing what I'm doing, and the doors will open eventually, which they have. And I'm thankful for that, but I didn't give up at all. It's a lot of people that started nonprofits that I know have given up because it's such a headache, and you're using all your own funds, and people don't have the patience or the time to do it. But, I make the time, and I'm glad I decided to go this route, and I'm just enjoy being a blessing to other people.
Yeah. So you still have another full-time job, don't you?
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm working 40 plus hours every week, and just making the extra money so I can put in there, just in case I don't have it from the nonprofit, to keep it going, And during this crisis, it's really been hard because, a lot of these businesses aren't open for the grants, applying for grants and whatnot. So it's really been hard during this pandemic.
Yeah. So what is it that you do as your full-time job?
I'm a correction officer at a mental health unit. I've been employed there for 21 years. My mom did the same thing, and she ended up becoming a probation officer.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. So you're already helping people in a sense. So this to you is just above and beyond what you're already doing.
I guess you say extra credit, right?
Yeah, I feel you on the nonprofit side. Trying to I just put together a fundraiser for mine about a month and a half ago, and we had a decent turnout, but still you're up against a lot of odds during this time. And so, yeah, but kudos to you, because it's just perseverance and keeping going and not giving up. And I loved watching you over the last couple of years, and I've seen you grow, and you've been interviewed on some pretty cool shows, and I mean, besides ours. I mean, now you're really making it when you get on Coffee Talk Tuesday.
Yeah.
This is
right. Do I get a mug? Do I get a free mug?
You sure do.
And
Okay.
I'm going to send you a mug, and I'm going to send you a book.
Okay, thank you. Thank
Yep, I'm gonna sign it and everything, so
All
that's
right.
worth money.
You just did this for the mug, didn't you?
See, that's why I give out the mugs.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So what are some of the other things that you've done? Because I've seen, I mean, since I stalk you pretty regularly on Facebook and see you, one of my favorite things that I saw was it last year? I think it was last summer, where you got a truckload of water bottles.
Yeah.
And you were just going up and down the streets and handing out water bottles, and people were just so thrilled. I saw a couple of the people coming up, and it was so good to see that. Was that, I mean, tell me.
That was last year, and that was downtown in the homeless capital, which is Skid Row in Los Angeles. And, you know, it's pretty hot during that time. So I said, I need to just fill up the truck with water. And, you know, people were amazed at how much water I had back there. You know, I didn't realize it until one of the guys, you know, said it. And I'm like, he asked, like, can I get one or two? I'm like, man, you can get as many as you need, you know, because I had a lot. And it's just like little simple things like that. I just try to, before I go to bed every night, my mind just wanders all day long. But before I go to bed at night, I just try to think of different things that I can do that people aren't doing to make somebody's day brighter, you know. And I'm not one of these people that just comes out on Christmas and Thanksgiving. I mean, no disrespect to them, but I mean, every day I'm just trying to think of something that I can help somebody with. Because, you know, one time I was driving for Lyft, and I'll never forget, a guy got in my back seat and he said he wanted to kill himself. And I'm like, man, I'm driving, and I'm like, man, don't do that while I'm driving, you know, don't blow your brains out. So I pulled over and I talked to him. You know, I was able to calm him down due to working in the mental health field, and I was able to get him to get him help for his depression, what he had, you know. And I've seen depression through working at my job, but I never knew what it was until my mom passed away. So, you know, with him doing that, I said immediately, man, you need to go get some help. So I went and got him help, and he's actually texted me the other day and said that he's doing good. And he's always just texts and just, you know, let me know how he's doing. And I just always have these different stories that I like to share with people to let them know that just, you never know, if I wouldn't have talked to that guy or hadn't picked that guy up, who would know? He probably wouldn't be here today, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think that's the thing, like you touched on a really heavy subject, but also good that, you know, depression, once you've experienced it, you understand it in a different way than you do if, you know, you're just, you know, there's a difference between being sad and then being depressed and full on depression. And I think that I don't know if it's the same for you, but definitely for me, is that I know it never really goes away, that pain, that grieving process of the loss and everything. It's always there, but doing these things help to heal it. It's not a Band-Aid. It just is giving of yourself, and that helps to heal as well, because you get something back.
Yeah, I call it a distraction, you know. So that's what I do, is try to do this. I mean, it's a good thing. I always think about my mom, but it's times where, you know, I hear a song or something and, you know, I think about her and I just start crying, you know. But it's just a distraction for me to help others and do what she would want me to do, and it makes me feel better, you know.
Yeah, that's a good distraction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you've moved it past a distraction, though. I think it's become a part of who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, you managed to take your grief and turn it into something that's very, very helpful and very, you know, it's a beautiful thing, really.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very admirable.
Thank you.
I think if more, I think I read this book once where it was talking about loss, and it was specifically talking about the loss of a child, but it was saying that there's a hole in your heart that never gets filled. But what you start to do, if you're able to process it and really work through it, is that you never fill that void, but you just expand as a person, and you start to touch lives and give them hope, and you become this light. And I really like that. So that's how I try to live my life. And that's why we do this on Coffee Talk Tuesdays. We want you to share your stories, because it's going to help someone else. It's going to touch someone else's life. And so, yeah.
Do you feel like your profession, working in the mental health field, that kind of helped to sort of drive you toward what you do? Because obviously with the homeless population, there's often a mental health problem, and a lot of mental health issues with the homeless, and they don't really get taken care of adequately. They just get thrown out on the street, basically.
Right.
Do you feel like where you were working kind of helped to drive you to what you do?
Yeah. I actually practice on, my kids at work, and use some of the tools or times that I've interacted with them. And, if I see the similar situation and I know, I tried this, let me try this on this individual and see if it works. And 9 times out of 10, it helps. But there are some people that are out there that really need help, and it's nothing that I could say or do that would help them at that time. But I'll still try my best. If I have some food or water, I would still give it to them and just leave it there for them.
Yeah, you're kind of the ideal person to do this, because you kind of have a toolbox of how to interact with people.
Right.
Great.
Do you ever get scared when you're like going down Skid Row and like being in that kind of a situation? I mean, are there any ever times where it was kind of a scary situation, other than the one you just told about the lift, someone trying to kill themselves?
Not really, because we're down there all the time, and these people, they know us. We build that's what I tell people. When you are trying to service the homeless community, you need to build a relationship with these individuals first. I mean, it's okay to give a sandwich and water and say goodbye, but I mean, you need to reach out as many times. If you see this individual all the time, start building a relationship with them. And then that way you can gain their trust. Nobody's going to off the first rip, say, well, what's your name? What's your story? Let me get you off the street. They're not going to believe you, like, you have to build a relationship with people in order to gain their trust. And a lot of these people, we've been going out there for years and years. And, once you start building that relationship with them, then, you gain their trust, and they're able to tell you different things that they wouldn't tell the average person, and that's how I feel that people shouldn't just walk by these homeless people. There are some people that used to be doctors and any type of profession you could think of that are homeless, and they didn't just happen to become homeless because they're on drugs or alcohol. Just like I lost my mom. I've seen what it does to people. I had a friend that I went to high school with, star athlete. He lost his sister, and then after his sister passed away, he lost his mind, and he ended up in going to jail, mental institution, and whatnot. And I mean, this guy was probably be the next Jerry Rice, but his sister passing away, turned his mind inside out. It's sad, but it is what it is. And he's still, to this day, he's a good guy, and he's recovered. He's starting to come back from that.
That's great.
How long would you say that took him?
There's a documentary on him. I would say, man, that was a while ago that documentary came out, and he's just got out not too long ago. But I've seen pictures of his mom. I talked to his mom through Facebook, and he looks good, compared to when I saw him on the street and I fed him, and I didn't know it was him until I saw the documentary, and it just ripped me up, because I used to go to school with this guy, and like I said, he would have been the next Jerry Rice had not this, situation happened with his sister, I believe,
Right.
Yeah, I think that when people lose somebody that's close to them, if you don't have the tools to, well, and even then, even if you have a lot of tools, sometimes you just forget, because when loss happens, like, it just, like, you basically start over. And that's what I said when I lost my son. I felt like I was a little girl again, and I was literally being fed for a while because I wouldn't eat. And so you just forget things. And then if you don't have those people around you to hold you up and lift you up and be there for you, then you fall apart. I mean, you're going to fall apart anyway, but it's always good to have somebody and know that there's that support So building those relationships are absolutely important. And I mean, nobody's going to recover until they're ready, and,
Right.
and it's all an individual basis. But at the same time, knowing that you're there might give them that piece of hope, which is really
Right.
cool.
Well, on that note, it's
We
that
hit our
time.
mark, yeah. Well, Yuri, I absolutely adore you, and I love that you were willing to be on our show. I'm going to send you a book and a mug. So
Okay.
you gave me your address, so I'm on
Okay.
it.
All
Now
right.
I just have to make the time to go to the post office.
Okay.
she's gonna send you 2 mugs.
All right.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Well, Yuri, what is the name of your foundation, and how can people get a hold of you if they want to make donations for you?
The website is www.afuturesuperhero.org or .com. On Instagram, A Future Superhero, Twitter, A Future Superhero, Facebook, Yuri Williams. And I tell people all the time, before you decide to make a donation or purchase something from our wish list, please check out our videos and stories and just see what we're about. Like, I just want people to trust and know that their funds are being used properly to help the homeless, elderly, veterans, children, and just people in need. You know, I just don't want you to throw your money out there and say and hope that I'm doing, you know, what I'm say I'm doing, and I actually am. But I just want to let people see before you make the donation what we're doing with your money, so you can see it's worthwhile and we're helping bring humanity back.
Well, I love it, and I vouch for you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
Have a good one, guys.
Awesome. Thank you,
Bye.
Yuri.
Bye-bye.
In summer 2004, as a 4-year-old Caleb's body emerged from an overcrowded water park's pool in Utah, every mother's worst nightmare became reality for Chalese Stevens. Would healing ever begin? Without an answer, she experienced truths about deep loss and grief's throttle. By age 40, she awakened to joy and motherhood. Finding 40, available on Amazon and wherever digital copies are sold.